What unites us is far greater than what divides us. You know, I looked that quote up on Google to make sure I attributed it to the right person. Because I've heard it said numerous times and in ever so slightly different ways. What divides us is not greater than what unites us. It turns out Google doesn't really know either. Because searching, it attributed it to about 50 people. From the Pope to the Dalai Lama, to politicians, to authors, and then to just some everyday people who you never heard of. And it's got a quote by them. And you're like, well, who is that? Why do I want to know a quote by them? Everyday people, just everyday people thrown in there. And songs tell stories. Songs are important to us. They can transport us back to a time, just like smells. You know, I'm an aromatherapist, and smells can transport us to a different place and a different time, just like that. So can a song. So can a song. We hear it and we go, whew, I know where I was when I heard that. Yeah. They tell stories. They're a way to express emotion and convey a belief or a faith that we can be better. Imagine by John Lennon. We can be better somehow, some way, someday, and even every day. Last month, I went to the mountains to be with my wife, Paula, for her birthday. I know you're watching. She's spending the summer up there, so all y'all who don't know, there's no split up or anything. She just decided it's too hot down here for her, and we got a little cabin up there in the woods, and she's up there, and she's been busy all summer building a room onto it because she thought it was a little too small. So she's spending the summer up there, and what she asked for this year as her birthday present was just simply for me to come up there and for us to spend some time together having fun and enjoying life. Yeah. She said, I don't want a present. I just want you to come be with me for my birthday and let's just have some fun, enjoy life. We did. We went to the waterfalls. We went out. We rented a boat for the day and went out on the lake up on the top of the mountain. There's a lake up there. It's so beautiful, right up on top of the mountain. And so we drove up the mountain and got in the boat and tootled around the lake for several hours and just had a beautiful day. But the day I arrived, we found that we had tickets to see Herman's Hermits. Those of you of an age probably know who I'm talking about. He was part of the British invasion in the mid-'60s along with the Beatles. He was a little lesser known than the Beatles, but he was my wife's boy crush. And he was 15 when he hit the scene. Cute little blonde-headed British boy hitting the scene. His name's Peter, but he went by Herman, and his band was called Herman's Hermits. He was her teenage heartthrob. And we found ourselves with tickets because he was appearing at the Georgia Mountain Fair, which is right on the Georgia-North Carolina border and just minutes away from our cabin. So tickets were purchased, and after she picked me up at the airport, off we zoomed to make sure we got there in time for the concert. And we were there. We got to the fair. Didn't get to see much of the fair because we walked through to the back where the arena was, sat down, surprisingly large arena for something called the Georgia Mountain Fair. It was wonderful and beautiful. And as we sat in the arena waiting for the show to begin, the stage was all lit up in neon lights, and there was drums up there, and there were name placards by each of the instruments because the instruments were there. There was a big bass, and there was a keyboard, and there were drums, and right by the drums, you could tell the pictures, all the lighting was tie-dyed, funky, you know, peace signs everywhere. And then the name right beside the drummer was Moonchild. I was like, ooh, this is going to be a hippie vibe kind of thing. And up at the front it said Vintage Vixens. So, you know, that gets the mind going, what is Vintage Vixens? Well, they're a women's group of an age. They're from Atlanta. And they had come up, and they sing 60s and 70s music that was so entertaining and so wonderful. These women wearing tie-dye with these hippie-inspired names, just dancing and singing around the stage. It was great fun to watch. Then they started singing Everyday People. And they have two different lead singers, and the lead singer that was singing Everyday People's name was Penny. And I sat there recognizing the familiar tune. You know, I was like, oh, I know that one. I know that one. And then something odd happened. It seemed there might have been a rip in the space-time continuum because everything seemed to slow way down and stop. And it seemed like that song, the words were just suspended in the air. And those words touched my soul. I heard every word of that song. Have you ever done that? Been listening to a song that you've heard 100 times and you've been guessing at what the lyrics are, and then it hits you and you hear every word. That's how that was for me. And a message began downloading from Spirit that I was supposed to create a spiritual message around the lyrics of that song. And I said, I think I can do that. Yes. Yes, so the song Everyday People, it was recorded by Sly and the Family Stone in 1968. It first hit number 1 on the soul single chart because, you know, back then they released singles before releasing the album. Release the single as a teaser to see how it's going to do. So that was the single from their soon-to-be-released album. So Everyday People went to number 1 on the soul charts very quickly. Then it started climbing up the Billboard Hot 100 chart and reached 100. And then their first album, Stand, was released just before Woodstock. How about divine timing there? Wasn't that divine timing? And all in a time of student riots, protests, and upheaval in the whole world. A song to bring peace and equality as a rallying cry for those turbulent times. The reason Sly and his band were the perfect carrier for that message because they were one of the only integrated bands in the 60s. They had black and white musicians playing together in a band. Okay. I know we're a little more politically correct in saying black and white musicians, and that probably the correct way that we're supposed to say that is the band was comprised of African American and a Caucasian artist. But you know, back then we said that black and white folks were in that band together. Either way, it wasn't common in those days and in those times. Just there were black bands and there were white bands, and the African American people, the black people, listened to the black bands, and the white people listened to the white bands. That's why Elvis was such a big, he was such a big dichotomy that he sounded like he was black, but he was white, and he kind of merged those audiences. But Sly and the Family Stone did the same thing. And that song, Everyday People, it was a plea for peace. It was a plea for equality. Let us be the way we are, no matter what color we are. Let us be friends. Let us be musicians playing together. Don't try to tell us we can't because we're different colors. So the words are, sometimes I'm right, and I can be wrong. My own beliefs are in my song. The butcher, the baker, the drummer, and then makes no difference what group I'm in. I'm everyday people. There's a blue one who can't accept the green one, living with a fat one, trying to be a skinny one. Different strokes for different folks, and so on, and so on, and Scooby-Dooby-Dooby. We gotta live together. I'm no better, and neither are you. We're all the same, whatever we do. You love me, you hate me, you know me, and then you can't figure out the bag I'm in. I'm everyday people. There's a long hair that doesn't like the short hair for being such a rich one that will not help the poor one. Different strokes for different folks. And so on and so on. Scooby-Dooby-Dooby. We got to live together. There's a yellow one that won't accept the black one, that won't accept the red one, that won't accept the white one. Different strokes for different folks. And so on and so on, and Scooby-Dooby-Dooby. I am everyday people. We are all everyday people, creating and living in everyday practical spirituality. That's why we are the perfect everyday people in this day and this time, right here and right now, just like Sly and the Family Stone were, to bring this message of peace, this message of love, this message of unity to the entire world, to ourself, to our community, to the world, filled with red, blue, green, yellow, black, white, polka dot, and tie-dye people, no matter what group they're in, no matter the group of religion or religious orders, no matter the group of politics or political parties, no matter the group of economic status, the rich or the poor, everyday people. The us against them dynamic is meant to divide us. But we are all everyday people. There is no us versus them. Who am I? Who are you? Who are they? Is not nearly as significant or interesting as asking, who are we? Who are we together as a community? Who are we together as a tribe? A tribe matters because together we all go farther. All of nature knows that. The wolf has a pack. All of nature knows together we go farther. The dolphins swim in a pod. The whales swim in a pod. Together we go farther. A community is a collection of like-minded people who share common values, common goals, and common beliefs, and put their joint effort toward those common goals. The goal is about a big impact. It could be more sales, more prosperity, a political victory, a cure for disease, philanthropic achievement, or anything else imaginable. For us, the New Thought community of Gulfport and Tribe, it is a meaningful and greater connection to source energy, advancing the spiritual awakening and transformation of each member of our tribe. We come together in love with each of us who are like-minded and committed to the experience of spiritual innovation, spiritual growth, connection, and inspiration. Together, we are awakening the power of community, the power of our tribe as everyday people. And the movement is thrilling. I'm sure back in the late 1800s, when Myrtle and Charles started the Unity movement, and Ernest Holmes started the Science of Mind movement, and the New Thought movement was born, I'm sure that was a thrilling time, a wonderful, exciting time, just like it is right now, us bringing that ancient wisdom with a new thought out to new people in the world, saying, what are y'all all about? It's a work of many people, all connected, all seeking something better. Just like the Unity movement and the New Thought movement. We have a movement right here. And I'm so happy that you are part of my tribe, and I'm so happy that you allow me to be part of your tribe. We are a tribe come together in love and seeking a greater connection to source and each other. Our movement is from me to we. And we come together in harmony, in balance, and in love. We come together with ourselves, with each other, with our environment, and we are strong and amazing, everyday people. And we do have to live together, just like the song says. We got to live together. It's imperative that we learn to coexist in unity through love and peace in this world. I am no better, and neither are you. The things that divide us are often used to control us. Fear, anger, confusion, they can all be used and abused to rally our baser instincts. They can trigger urges to elevate the us versus them impulse within us as humans. I want to share with you a little personal tidbit. A few weeks ago, I was at the VA hospital, and I was going through some tests for my annual physical. You know, the doctor says you got to go over here and do this with neurology, and you got to go over here and do this with the lab, and you got to go over here and get a mammogram, and you got to go over here and do that. And so I was getting all those tests done, you know, and they were scheduled one after another, a day or two, and then the next week. But that morning, I had also been making ministerial visits at the hospital. And I wore my name tag that identifies me as a minister, so I come walking in a stranger's room. They know I'm there for a purpose because they've asked for a minister to come and visit with them. And the doctor started with the test, and then he said, "Oh, do you work here?" I said, "No, why?" He said, "Oh, your name tag." I'd completely forgotten I had the name tag on. And I said, No, I don't work here. But I'm a minister, and I was making some visits earlier. So we started chatting, and I think my test was probably supposed to take 20 minutes, and it took a little over an hour. Because you know, I can go chatting. I can tell some stories. So he starts talking about spirituality. "Oh, where are you a minister at?" I said, "The New Thought community of Gulfport." "What's that?" So then I go explaining what New Thought is. He said, "Oh, well, that's a lot of what I believe." And so, you know, I knew he was Middle Eastern or Indian, and I said, "So are you Hindi?" And he said, "No, I'm Muslim." And I said, "Well, awesome." So we picked each other's brain. We picked each other's brain and asked, "Well, what do you believe in this scenario? And what do you believe in that scenario?" And it turned out we believe almost exactly the same thing in almost every scenario. And we believe that the core is love. The core value there is love. And he said, "You know what?" He said, I generally volunteer to work on Sundays. He said, so I don't usually have a Sunday off, but my next Sunday off, I'm going to come to that Gulfport casino and see what y'all are all about. And I said, "You will be welcome." And he was so amazed when I told him that we will have people sitting on the same row side by side that have different beliefs, different faiths, different spiritual paths. And yet, we all come together in love. We all come together in love to celebrate our spirituality, to celebrate that we are everyday people showing up and being the best that we can. And I came away from that conversation knowing for certain that we are all here for a unique reason. Maybe it's to reflect and reveal the cosmos as only I can. And maybe it's for you to reflect and reveal the cosmos as only you can. I came from that conversation knowing for certain what I am meant to be. What are you meant to be? And so on and so on and Scooby-Dooby-Dooby. Scooby-Dooby-Doo. You know, when I started creating this message, I did have a squirrel moment. And I said, "Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo." And I thought, which came first, the song or the cartoon? You can go ahead and laugh, yeah? Because it's funny. Ruh-roh, Shaggy. The song was released in 1968, and the cartoon was created in 1969. So, who knows? Maybe they had nothing to do with each other, and maybe they had everything to do with each other, and they were meant to be. We all have a built-in meant to be. We all have a built-in meant to be. We come here with it. What are you meant to be? An apple seed is meant to be an apple tree. Johnny Appleseed didn't go around planting apple seeds and have peach trees and pecan trees grow up where they planted the apple seeds. No, just no. Apple trees grew from those seeds because it was meant to be. Apple seeds become apple trees. Pecans become pecan trees. Source is right there in it all. Source is in all of nature. Source is right there in our meant to be. God's everywhere. IRL. IRL. See? The young people know what I just said, and the rest of y'all are going, what's she mean? What's she mean? Because that's what millennials and kids text to each other. I'm going to do this today, IRL. Because that designates they're doing it in real life, not in virtual. In real life, IRL. Uh-huh. Say, uh-huh, uh-huh. And then there's another one, TIA. I started seeing that on posts. And I was, on social media and a post, and it'd say something, and it'd say TIA in all caps. And I'm going, TIA? What, is that their initials? Is that their signature? But then I started seeing it from other people. And I'm like, everywhere I'd look, I'd see a post that said TIA. Because, once we put our attention to something, it starts showing up in our life. So I'm going. So finally I Googled it because I couldn't figure it out. Till inside alphabet, I don't know, TIA. What does that mean? Thanks in advance. So somebody posts a post asking for something and then TIA, thanks in advance. Really? IRL, in real life, I can TIA, thank you in advance. Because God is everywhere. In real life. In real life, God is everywhere, all around us, and in everyday people. When you meet someone, maybe an everyday person, and something happens, anything happens, shift to, let me see the God in this. Something that makes you pause. Ooh, what's that happening for? The Muslim doctor and I, we shared we got into some really deep, like, well, why does God allow children to suffer? That's the age old. See God in that. Let me see God in this. Let me see the one presence and the one power in this. Let me see how I can show up as love in this situation. The presence is there. The presence is always there. The presence is there in the love. God is everywhere. Everyday people. Inside you, God is. And I want you to develop a newly awakened habit, a new practical practice. Shift your thought process. Shift your perspective. Shift your frame of mind. What's meant to be for you. Shift that to a win-win. Shift it to a win-learn if it needs to be. And always shift it to a win-blessing. Don't accept that anything in your life has to be a win-lose. Nothing has to be a win-lose. It's all your choice. It's all a matter of the perspective. See the God in it. See God in it because God is right there in the love. So if you let the love lead, you will see God in it, and you can easily shift what you thought was going to be a win-lose to a win-win. Maybe a win-learn sometimes because we got to learn. And sometimes the only way we learn is to go right through it. And all the time, it's a win-blessing. Even if it was a win or a blessing or a learn, it's a blessing. Every time. Don't accept that anything is win-lose. No, not IRL. No. In every situation that comes into your life, everywhere, just as we say in the prayer of protection, wherever we are, God is and all is well. That's not just something we say on Sunday at the end of the day. That's something we need to live every day. Everyday people living it. Wherever we are, God is and all is well. For remember, God is there because God is everywhere, all at once. Where? God is everywhere. Even in those dark places of fear, doubt, and worry. We humans can become acclimated to a comfort zone. And that comfort zone might get dark. Even in the dark places, we can find a comfort zone. Because sometimes we get comfortable coming out of that place. We get comfortable in the place because we're comfortable as a starting place. We're comfortable coming out of it. Sometimes we're not so comfortable being all up here in the high vibe and light all the time. And we go, that's a little, what am I going to do here? And we let ourselves slide. We let ourselves slide back down when a challenge presents itself. Maybe rather than finding a solution right away in the light, accepting the resolution right away in the light, we slide down into that dark place. Rather than existing in the light, vibrating in that win-win or that win blessing, where we stay consistently at that high frequency, that high vibration, maybe we let ourselves slide down, for it's a habit. It's a habit, and it's a comfortable place to start from. We all have comfort zones, and nothing ever grows there. I want you to start practicing win-win. Love is the way. Win-learn. Maybe you need to learn something from this. Maybe you need to learn something from this challenge and then move right on up out of it. And a win blessing. There's a blessing coming to you every day in every way. And when it comes to world peace, well, I've never made it to the finals of Miss America or Miss Universe. So I have to admit, I don't have a polished, practiced, fix-it for the world to solve world peace. Because every contestant does, you know. Bex was practicing her world peace as Miss Gecko Queen. What am I going to do about world peace? Because I know they're going to ask me that. Because they always do. Except, maybe I do. Maybe I do. The answer is love. No matter what the question is, the answer is love. And some of you may say, oh, you're very naive, Reverend Kimberley. No, I'm not naive. Well, maybe just a little bit. But I am aware that there are financial concerns, social stratification, racial, sexual, and every other form of discrimination. There are religious differences, and all those things, they divide us. But love can unite us. Think of some divisive situation you recently had with someone. An argument, a disagreement, a judgmental moment when you reacted harshly. I'll give you a second. Bring that in. Maybe it happened yesterday, maybe it happened a month ago. Maybe it happened a year ago and you are so blessed. But I know we've all had them in our lives when we acted overly harsh to a situation or a person. Now think of that situation that happened where you were harsh and judgmental. But on the other side of it, I want you to put your beloved. Maybe a child, maybe a parent, maybe your spouse, a lover, a sibling. What would the outcome be? Would the outcome have been different? If you were dealing in that situation with a beloved in your life, would your response have been the same? Would it be harsh? Or would you find a loving resolution, a gentle solution? Love is the answer. As I know you all just saw in your own mind and felt in your own heart. If we can deal with every person we encounter, every situation that presents itself to us, as the other person is someone beloved to us, we will find that loving resolution. We will find a gentle solution. If we can only bring ourselves to retrain our mind to respond in love rather than react in fear. Because that's generally the basis of all of our lashing out, of all of our judgments. Fear. You know that if only If only we can bring ourselves, if only we can bring ourselves to find that place of love rather than react in fear. If only. You hold the power to change that if only to an I can, or a we can, or a I will, or we will. Only you hold the power for that. You hold the power, for you are the master of your thoughts. You are the keeper of your own words. You hold the power, no one else. And together, we can and we will break the cycle. It all begins with you, with me, with each of us, and then with we. We, the community. We, the tribe. Life is too complex to cover with one song. But maybe that one song can cause a rip in the space-time continuum, and the words can hold in the air for just a moment, or even a fraction of a moment, to give us the space to take that breath and respond in love rather than react in fear. That's all we need. Give us a chance. And maybe songs like Everyday People can give us that chance when we really listen to the lyrics. So go forth and be unity people. Be peaceful people. Be tie-dye wearing people. Be patchouli wearing people. Be loving people. Be kind people. Because I tell you what, you smell some patchouli, you're going to get some love up in there. Yes. The best people in here wear patchouli. I guarantee it. So you go around and start sniffing and see. You will find it to be true. Yes. Patchouli, patchouli, patchouli. Yes. Be kind people. Be spiritual people. Be adventurous people. Be happy people. And most of all, be everyday people. And so on and so on and Scooby-Dooby-Dooby. And so